guys. Sorry I haven't been posting too regularly, but in this one I'm going to show you how to make a profile face. So a profile is when, it's the side of the face, so the ear would be here and the face is looking one way or the other. So the first thing I do is I start with a big fat round circle, a nice plump circle. And then and I just started practicing profiles. I really wasn't that good at them, but I do these few tricks that kind of help me out. So I then make a line like this. And what this sort of does is sort of helps me with the forehead, because I don't know, for me, profiles have always just been very difficult. So I make this line here, make it a little bigger, and then I go a little bit forward here and I just make a line down, and then I make a line up to the outer rim of the circle. So I make a line down and then I make a line here, and that becomes the nose. So once I make this point, I make the lip out a little bit, always using the outer line of the circle. And you know what, I won't do that part of the lips. So I'll just top lip, bottom lip, and then I'll do a little chin. And I'll use this curve as the chin. And then I'll go up a little bit over here, sort of in the middle, but a little bit lower, and I'll make that the ear. Alright. So then I usually take, let's see if how do I want to make the mouth? I'll just make it down. I'll just make it regular. I'll just do it down like that. So then what I usually do, normally like when you make mouths, like if they're smiling or something, there's usually something there. Not something there, but there's usually like a darker spot there. So kind of like if you're making a character smiling, there's this whole thing is what I'm trying to like get at. That's a normal thing, like if you're drawing a mouth, one side gets that little cheek area. So basically I just use that. So let's say that was here, and I'm just going to bring this around to the ear. And it doesn't even have to be there. Like I can just I just I just pretend that it's there. I don't actually have to draw it. But this corner of the mouth is where I start this line here, and that becomes the cheek. And then another thing that I use this line for is I take this edge right here and I bring this line down to the middle, and that creates like this whole eye socket area. Alright, and then for the eye, I just kind of follow this right in front, and then I just make the eye like that. It's not too bad. And the head goes back. And obviously I don't use this, that would be way too big as the head, but you just kind of make the back of the skull. And this area here is where the neck would be. But for now I use the top of this line to kind of make an eyebrow. If it was an angry face, I would come and do something more like that, or maybe even lower. if I wanted to make it an angry face. And you can also erase. You don't have to have the line all the way to the end. Like, it's sort of like a guide. I use those lines as guides, but you don't have to keep all those lines. And obviously there's so much stuff you can do with the nose, with the shape of the nose. You can always have it more like that. You can have more of a bigger, rounder nose like mine. You can change the distance of the forehead, things like that. You can draw the nostril in. And you can change this line right here. That looked terrible. You can do all sorts of different things with the mouth. You just have to practice. So there's all sorts of variations that you can do with the face. The eyes too. I don't really like this eye. Like I said, I just recently had to. I've been working on a project and I've had to draw some characters that are profile. So, I just kind of always teach myself some tricks, to kind of make it easier. Sometimes I'll just do something like that. You can do all sorts of different expressions and things like that. But we'll do a more normal eye. So then for the hair, usually what I do is I start, obviously, like, I'm a black guy and we've all gotten our hair cut and you clearly see that hairline. So I'm used to that. So no matter what the character is or what nationality or whatever, I start with that just to give me a guide as to how I want the hair to look. Because we all have this basic shape of how the hair is going to look. Although some people have like a widow's peak or something, but you don't have to do that. So let's say this character has a ponytail. So I would just kind of use, I'll just use all this to like bring the lines kind of back. And then do a little, maybe that's not a ponytail. Pigtail? I don't know. I have no idea. It might be something like this. And sometimes I make the skull a little too long. You can bring that in. His mouth needs some work. And it's one thing that I always do, when I don't always get things right. So sometimes you just have to go over them. Just keep the good stuff and erase what you don't like. Erase some of this line here. You can imply that cheek. You don't have to draw it all the way out. I don't know if I've actually ever drawn like a mouth open from this angle. So hopefully this doesn't look too embarrassing. It's not too bad. But I guess where I made the lips, I guess that would mean that I bring the chin in some. Because you don't want the chin to protrude too far out in front of this bottom lip. Get rid of some of these. Give her a bigger nose. I have to work on my upper lips because they start looking crazy. But I guess when the character is smiling, they're not as thick. I usually like to draw the lips thicker, but let's see what happens when we tilt. Let's see what happens when we tilt all this. It doesn't look too terrible. Although I feel like let me see if I can figure out what I don't like about this. I think that's what it is. I think I just didn't put enough of this space here. I think it looks a little bit better now. Yeah, so it's just little things like that, like I have to make sure that I have enough space here. So I guess I want the eye to be above this part of the nose. And I like the eye, I guess, above the ear. Let's see what happens if I bring that down. See if it looks weird. No, I think it looks good higher. So then for the chin, you want to make sure that the neck is back some. The hair would come up from there. And this is sometimes tricky. You just have to figure out where you want the neck to be. Well, not where you want, but where it looks right. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to kind of figure out. Another thing that I usually do is I usually bring the neck down, and then I do the area that would be, I don't always go right into the arms. I kind of make sure to make room for, like, you know what this would be. The arm would be here. You know, and the body would be something like that. And then I go into arms and stuff. And usually, even this, the neck is a little wide. So I'll just kind of bring that up some. You know, if it was a more masculine character, you know, then it's okay if the neck is wide. But if it's, it looks a little funny. Not bad, but body might be a little too small for the head. So that's another thing I do is I just select it all, and then I just, you know, you can just make it bigger. Sort of figure out just sort of figure out what looks right. Let's see, we'll give her a, I don't know what this is. We'll give her a, some sort of oversized t-shirt or something. But that's pretty much how I do it. And if I was, I do the rough really quickly, and then we'll use my brown color. I've been using brown for the project I'm working on. Do the rough, get it looking so it looks decent. Oops, I'm on the same layer. Make a new layer above that, and then you can do your artwork. Then you can make your drawing. All the while, I simplify all of these lines that I've done. Oops. And I also look out for things that might be problems. So like, for example, this chin was a little big in the sketch. So, I just kind of made it smaller. And also might not have to go up so high. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks better. It doesn't have to go up incline so much. And if you notice when I'm doing this part, I really try to do the least amount of strokes as possible, or the least amount of movement. Make this a little thicker here. I'll use a bigger brush for the for the eye. I'll do this a little quicker. Hair I find usually works better when there's a lot of movement in it. The shapes have to be good, but it doesn't have to be as technically sound, because hair kind of does its own thing. Might be able to soften up that forehead a little bit and see what that looks like. Yeah, that's a little bit better. I gave her she had a super pointy forehead. And that's pretty much I don't want to leave out her poor eyelash. So I'll use a different brush for the eyelash, because or not eyebrow, not eyelash. This is my little secret trick for how I do eyebrows. I did give her some thick eyebrows. I take the airbrush and I airbrush the front, and I airbrush a little bit of the back too. And then I take the eraser and I do Sketch Master. Of course, again, you can download all my brushes. And I just do some lines through it. And that's how I like to do eyebrows. I did on a different layer so I can, I can manipulate it, make it bigger or smaller. Let me get rid of the sketch below it. There is something a little weird about the mouth. Not exactly sure what it is. So let's see if I can edit it on the fly. That might look a lot better. Let's see, it could be because I think that one of the most important things about drawing is just being able to see when things are not looking right. I think that's probably the most valuable part of creating nice artwork, is you just have to be able to see, get an eye for what looks funny. And now you see why sometimes it can take me forever to get a drawing right, because if it looks, oh, maybe that's it. Maybe I just need to bring the teeth in a little bit more. Ooh, it was way too high. Let's try to just do this bottom lip again. Actually, that's me being lazy. What I really need to do is, when I have issues like that, what I really need to do is go back to the drawing board, so to speak. So I'm going to go back to, and this is why sometimes it just takes forever. I go back to this layer here, and I just have to figure out what's not looking good. That looks really strange. Let's see. I have this like this. I wonder if I can just... That doesn't look too bad. But I still want to figure out how to make the mouth open. open, how to make the mouth look good when it's open. Even if it's open a little bit. Something about this lip I don't like. Alright, let's see. That looks weird. And that looks quite good. So I might have been bringing the mouth too high. That might have been the issue. Because that actually doesn't look bad. So let me see if I can figure out how to make that with the mouth open. One good thing about doing projects and working on projects is you're kind of forced into doing things. If I want to make a scene and the character has to be like this, then I can't just use comfortable crutches and tricks and positions that I'm used to. Like, you have to just figure out how to make it look like what what you want it to look like. Okay, that looks a lot better. So it might have been that I might have been bringing the mouth up too high. Because I think this looks alright, actually. Alright, let's see how this looks. Hopefully we can call it quits after this. But I don't like leaving you guys with a messed up looking tutorial face. Let's see. If we do it up here, we go down a little bit. Do it like that. We'll bring the teeth in. It definitely looks better. Bring that lip out a little bit. Yeah, we can just maybe imply and then we'll do a little bit of the teeth thing here. Yeah, I think that looks much better. Still a lot of forehead, but I'm okay with that, actually. And you can easily just can easily just bring this line up. Let's see. The other thing is, yeah, the only other thing is I just feel like it's a little too... I think that works a little bit better. Let me see if I need to bring this eye forward a little bit. I think that works. I think that works better. And I guess since I'm here, I might as well show you how I would color this. I would make a new layer underneath. And I usually go to it's not really neutral, but in this case I'll just do orange. And I'll do this fairly quickly. Now, of course, you can do what is it, reference layer, but I don't like reference layer, because when I'm coloring something in, I just don't like how the reference layer leaves a gap where all the lines are. I don't like that at all. We'll just do everything for now. It looks weird. I probably shouldn't have. That looks strange. But that's okay. It's not going to be... We'll give her her whole arm. The only thing I don't color in is the teeth and the eyes. Okay, that's colored in. Now I just have to separate the eyes. Alright, then I just do color drop. And I'll select this, make a layer above it, and we'll figure out the hair color after I block out her hair. I'm going to just color everything piece by piece. But I do it on a new layer because I like to be able to edit and change the color of things. Oh, actually, this is... Whoops, I forgot a little bit down there. So we'll just undo the selection and color that in. Let's do a pink. You can do the color drop, or you can do fill. I'm just doing fill here. Alright, so let's take another color. Do the same thing. Select the orange. Do a layer above. And The reason why I select the orange and then make a new layer is because it's really easy when I just want to, I don't have to worry about going outside of the lines. Oops. Sometimes I'll just, instead of doing this, sometimes I'll just paint in a section and then do another layer and just paint it in. But sometimes I do it this way too, where I just paint the whole thing like that. Okay, so now we'll just use this orange for the skin tone. And what color do we want to do for a skin tone? I think that's a nice color. So I'll just select that and just make sure I color. Oops. Oh, I colored the wrong layer. That's okay. So I'll just select this color. I'll just hit back. Go to the layer that I wanted to, and I'll just color drop that. And now I go underneath this tan layer, and I'll take white. Actually, I don't think that's white. That's white. And I'll do a little shadow underneath. Oops. I'll do a little shadow underneath that. So let me do a regular paintbrush, bring it down to 30%. Oops, that's not going to work. So 30%. There we have our shadow. And I'm going to select, I'm going to alpha lock the brown. And then I'm going to go to red, soft brush. So just a soft airbrush. And I'm just going to sort of airbrush in very lightly. This kind of takes some practice. Airbrush in some red. And this really gives the skin life. I kind of do it all over a little bit. Just you don't want to do too much though. That's the only thing. It has to be very kind of subtle. You just don't want to do too much. Maybe we'll do some freckles. Make it a little smaller. Do that, or another thing that I do when I want to do freckles, sometimes I'll do it the lazy way. Get out of here, freckles. If I want to do it the lazy way, then I'll just use driven snow. Oops, it's too big. Too big. I'll just do driven snow like that. And that kind of makes cool freckles. So for the shadow, I can do it right on this layer actually. I'm just going to make this a little bit darker, maybe a little redder. And I'm going to use that 30% brush. It's not bad. I'll bring it down to 20%. It's not bad. I'll bring it down to 10. Sometimes a lot of like harsh shadows don't look good on people, I've gathered. So just be very careful how harsh you have the shadows and things like that. Bring it back up. I'll bring it back up to 30%. Might be easier for you guys to see. Bottom of the nose. Get some shadow. Maybe underneath the lip. His ear. Inside the ear, get some shadow. Let me take some of this pink color. Unalpha lock the hair. And I'll use Graffiti or Sketchmaster 2. Just kind of give it a little life there. Maybe a little life under here because, you know, it's very gradual that the hair, maybe give it a little life there. Takes Sketchmaster 1, sort of. I'll do it on the line layer, which is the line layer is where all the lines are, and just you know, just trying to give it some life. Another cool thing you can do is you can alpha lock the line layer, and then you can use like a darker, like I'm using like a darker pink, and you can color in that. Actually, let me do it a different. I'll do it a little closer to the color of the pink. And just get rid of that dark line, which I think is nice. I don't really do a lot of dark lines. The only thing I color in black is this line here. I do black. We'll make her eyeball black as well. And sometimes I do this top lip. I don't always do the nostril, but I think the nostril looks, we don't need the nostril. I'm going to go under to where this eye layer is, and I'm going to color that white. And I'm also going to, let's try it with this pink. I'm going to use this pink color. I'm going to go to the skin layer, and then I'm going to make sure that's alpha locked. Bring it down to 30%. See if it actually looks like a lip. These a darker color might look good for this skin tone. That doesn't look bad. Might be actually better if I do maybe just a little bit of a darker color. I think that looks good. And then for the bottom we'll use, let's try the airbrush. Let's see if we airbrush in. I think that looks nice. I think that looks pretty nice. And we can go back to that color that we did the shadows with. And we'll just do some shadows like under the ear, maybe around the back of the head. just do some more shadows, maybe from the hair. We'll do some more shadows here. Could be a shadow here, but that might get a little too crazy. Yeah. And maybe a little shadow underneath here. And I'm going to take this eyeball here. I'm going to go with the off-white. I'm going to make it a little bit yellow. And let me make sure that's alpha locked. So this is just the whites of the eyes. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to that's a little too much. Kind of darken it a little bit. That way I can use my white. And I'll do it on the eyebrow layer. I can use my white at 30%. And I can do some nice color there. And then I can bring it all the way up, and I can do a nice little pop of light there. Maybe take Sketchmaster 2 and maybe do a little bit here too. Sometimes I kind of have to figure out what looks best. See if there's maybe a little bit here, a little bit on the nose maybe. Maybe a little bit on the top part of the cheek. Just a little something very subtle. Maybe on the top part here. It's not bad. Let's see, what color do I want? Oh, maybe just do a random color for the shirt. Do alpha lock this. Yeah, so I think we'll go ahead and end it there. I'm gonna get some sleep since this is getting long, and I didn't actually mean for it to be so long. But yeah, so hopefully you found that useful. Hopefully you got some tips and tricks out of me doodling this character. It just takes a lot of practice to draw characters in profile, but definitely it's definitely useful. So you should definitely take the time to figure out how to do it, because if you work professionally, you're definitely going to eventually have to draw characters in profile. So yeah, just practice and keep at it, and you'll eventually get it. What color should I sign this? Should I do the pink? Probably won't be able to see it if I do the pink, but all right. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one.